Welcome back to Stream Media West 2022 here in lovely Huntington Beach. I'm here with Jose Castillo, who lives really close to where I live, but I only get to see him at places like this. And why is that, Jose?
Well, it's because we're both so busy. We're traveling all over the world, and when we're home, we want to be home.
Exactly.
No, it's great to be here.
Yeah, likewise. And so for you, you've of course been coming since about 2006 when we did the one in New York. You helped be the life of the party for this, both for 8:30 in the morning for the Reader's Choice Awards that we had this morning, and of course for the last session we're going to do at the end of the day, which is called Why Are We Talking About This Word We Can't Say on the Air. So what are sort of your most interesting memories with streaming media? Because you've done London, you've done New York, you've done out here in California.
I think it all comes back to the people.
Okay.
Some of the most interesting people that I've met in my life have been a part of the streaming media shows, and what I love about it is it's a global community. So these people come from all over the world.
That's true.
To talk about their amazing products, services, consulting, all these different pieces and parts that go in to help people tell stories through online video. And for me, it was always not only getting to meet these people, but hear their own stories. And so we have some of the coolest people with amazing ideas and new products and super awesome startups and massive Fortune 100 companies who are all coming together and sharing stories.
And interestingly, some of those super massive Fortune 100 companies started as super small startups at these shows.
Exactly.
You and I can both remember little companies that have now become really big.
Oh yeah.
And we had a chance way back before it was cool to do podcasts.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
I know.
it was cool back then.
Right.
And then it wasn't cool, and now it's cool again. And I remember one instance where you and I were sitting in New York, and it was the end of the day. We started to interview Jan Ozer, who runs Streaming Learning Center, and all of a sudden the room started getting deconstructed around us.
As we're doing the show, we're literally talking on the microphones, and they're sliding these 3-story wall panels past us.
Bang together and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you also get a chance, because you do something with NASCAR called Trackside Live, you also had a chance to sort of do that indie/streaming thing. Now, how much is it a streaming component versus how much is it a just broadcast at the local racetrack component?
So it's a combination, and you're right. I have had the chance to, in all of my jobs, streaming media has touched that. And for us, lately with NASCAR Trackside Live, it's been how do you take a live show that's for fans at a racetrack? We'll have 5,000 fans in front of the stage. How do you take a show that has that intimate, kind of at the racetrack feel and share it with the rest of the world? So the show that we do now is live streamed, primarily through NASCAR.com, Facebook Live, et cetera. But the conversations are starting about how do you take it back and to broadcast. Well, we have 2 broadcast partners with NASCAR, so we have Fox and NBC.
Right.
And they each take half of the season. So even in the world where we now have all these options, it's still hard when you have broadcast rights to go, there's a show that's at the track that's NASCAR focused. Does it go to Peacock? Does it go to, where does it land?
Fair point.
And how do you put that together where you can have a show for all 36 races?
And also, how do fans get a chance to continually engage across all the races if part of it's on one broadcast partner, part of it's on another broadcast partner? Do you find people who come to stand physically at the Trackside Live, show that you do, that they've watched some of them on streaming before, so they sort of know the drill and all that kind of
definitely.
thing.
And we're basing this model off of a very old concept, which was the NASCAR Speed Stage. Back when we had the Speed Channel, fans would set, for a week ahead of time to be able to get to be a part of this show and make signs, and it was very much like the game day show for NASCAR.
Sure.
And back in the day, at the height of NASCAR and the Speed Channel, there would be 10,000, 20,000 fans, holding up signs and
almost like they're at a music concert.
Exactly. And so we've had that model. Fans have been introduced to that. So when Speed Channel went away and there was these changes, we never really had that Trackside Live stage come back. Well, in the last few years, Marcus Smith with Speedway Motorsports, NASCAR, the company itself, Steve Phelps have said, we want this back for the fans.
Ah, nice.
So how do we take this old model, make it new again, retain some of the elements that the fans love and remember,
right,
but also make it new for a more digital audience?
Okay, interesting. So having been around the streaming industry now for 16 years, what sort of has surprised you on the technology side, both slow or fast?
The amazing thing to me is that what's old is new again, and what's new is old again. And it's funny because 16 years ago we were talking about formats, and we got to have all agree on this single format, and we're still having that same argument.
Right, sure.
A lot of it was how do we share video to lots of different devices and et cetera. And so a lot of those conversations are the exact same things that we're talking about now. Now, I feel where we've made a big jump is in the mobile space, because my first article I wrote for Streaming Media Magazine was about how to put video on an iPod. And you think about now where we have computing power and the ability to not only watch but also create live content from anywhere in the world and share it to anywhere else in the world, from your mobile device. So I think the technology has changed radically on the product side, on the end user side, on the creation tools and hardware, but I still feel like it's the same kind of Wild West on the software and how do we deliver it side.
What about the storytelling side? Do you think we've figured out how to use streaming to tell stories that are different, whether it's better or worse from the way that traditional broadcast television tells stories?
So I want you to go back into your vault and think about Vine.
Sure.
So 6-second videos, which Vine was this little startup that wound up becoming a piece of Twitter that Twitter wound up killing off.
And there was Periscope at the same time as
Periscope. Well. And what's funny is these tools, are now 10 plus years old.
Right.
And yet now we're talking about, well, TikTok is just the latest thing. Well, it's like we've had this experience. So,
and what was interesting in that 10 years ago model was companies were upset by the fact that somebody would do a 10-second video from a boxing match, and they'd say, well, you don't have the broadcast rights for that. We're going to come after you. Now, if the TikTok isn't done at the boxing match, it's like, well, we don't have enough people social media influencing on it. So.
And I think that's another big piece of it from the storytelling side, is that years ago it was about the shiny new thing and how do we just use it for anything to do. Well, now you have the power of the rise of influencers that can say, my friend Justin Danger Nunley has, 6 million followers on TikTok.
Right.
And he has his own channel, his own brand, so much so now that these bigger brands are reaching out to him.
And what's old is new and new is old. One of the podcasts we did was with Gary Vaynerchuk. In a hotel room in the Hilton there, to actually have those conversations about influencers almost 15 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of similarities to what's happened in the past to what's happening now. But on the storytelling side, I think we're finally seeing, a little bit of break in convention where some of the traditional channels, traditional broadcast models, et cetera, are really being challenged by an individual with a phone and being able to compete with them.
Yeah, fair point. So I think maybe we'll know that's successful when there's a channel that's nothing but 7-second videos for hours on end that's basically just reprocessing TikTok or something like that.
So. You go now and, some of the biggest Twitch users, their VODs are getting more views than some, broadcast channels.
Yeah,
so
very true.
So I think it's already there. It's just now it's the, how do I find it and connect with it? So
true. Yeah.
And that's a whole nother question.
Searching and retrieving that content. Awesome. Well, always good to talk to you, and we will be right back with our next guest.